Hello, here Al Nilein News as we cover the breaking news from Sudan.
U.S. sanctions RSF commanders over atrocities in El Fasher. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control announced sanctions on Thursday against 3 high-ranking commanders of the Rapid Support Forces, a Sudanese paramilitary group, citing their direct roles in the devastating assault on El Fasher. In an official statement, the Treasury detailed the commanders' involvement in the RSF's 18-month siege and subsequent capture of the North Darfur capital. The offensive was marked by what officials describe as a horrific campaign characterized by ethnically motivated killings, torture, starvation, and widespread sexual violence. Since the outbreak of civil war in Sudan in April 2023, the RSF and its allied militias have been accused of systematic atrocities. The Treasury's report reaffirmed that these actions constitute war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. While international sanctions against the RSF, currently in rebellion against the Sudanese armed forces, continue to mount, observers note they have yet to effectively curb the group's violations on the ground. This lack of tangible impact has led to increasing demands for more aggressive measures. Critics and human rights advocates are calling for expanded deterrent sanctions that target not only the paramilitary leadership but also the broader network of political backers, media surrogates, and financial facilitators who sustain the group's operations. Egypt at UN. Arming militias in Sudan is a war crime. Egypt's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Osama Abdul Khalik, delivered a blistering address to the UN Security Council labeling the military support of militias in Sudan a war crime. Speaking during a session dedicated to the Sudanese crisis, Abdul Khalik reaffirmed Cairo's unwavering stance on the conflict, emphasizing that Egypt remains deeply invested in multiple diplomatic tracks aimed at reaching a sustainable political solution. The Egyptian ambassador's remarks underscored Egypt's total rejection of any attempts to partition Sudanese territory or establish parallel governing bodies. He warned against tampering with Sudan's destiny, stating that the nation's unity remains a non-negotiable red line for Egyptian foreign policy. Abdul Khalik specifically referenced the Red Lines Declaration issued by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in December 2025. This strategic framework serves as the cornerstone of Egypt's engagement with the Sudanese file, prioritizing absolute rejection of secessionist movements, refusal to recognize parallel entities or alternative administrations, and preventing external interference that undermines the Sudanese state. The Egyptian envoy highlighted Cairo's dual role as a political mediator and a humanitarian lifeline. Cairo remains committed to political mediation and humanitarian action to ensure Sudan's stability and territorial integrity, Abdul Khalik stated. He noted that Egypt would continue to collaborate with the international community to mitigate the burgeoning humanitarian catastrophe and protect civilian rights across the border. The address signals a hardening of Egypt's diplomatic position as it seeks to galvanize international pressure against the regional actors fueling the ongoing insurgency. Sudan and Saudi Arabia convene in Riyadh to finalize strategic coordination framework. Preparatory meetings for the Sudanese-Saudi Political Consultation Committee convened in the Saudi capital, marking a significant step toward deepening diplomatic and strategic ties between the two nations. The Sudanese delegation was led by Ambassador Muawiyah Osman Khalid, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, while the Saudi side was headed by Ambassador Saud bin Mohammed al-Sati, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Political and Economic Affairs. The high-level discussions focused on activating bilateral cooperation and coordination mechanisms. A primary agenda item was the establishment of governance frameworks for the Joint Strategic Coordination Council, which is slated to launch its inaugural session soon under the joint chairmanship of the Sudanese and Saudi foreign ministers. Both delegations underscored the necessity of sustained coordination amidst current regional challenges, emphasizing that such a partnership is vital for fostering security and stability across the Arab and African regions. This meeting follows a recent decree by the President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who officially reconstituted the Supreme Council for Strategic Cooperation and Coordination between Sudan and Saudi Arabia this past January. The move serves as the operational fulfillment of agreements reached in March 2025 during talks between al-Burhan and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Mecca.